Chapter 1. Gem. The kiss was different every night. Some nights it was a quick peck, and some nights it was a comically exaggerated snog for laughs. There were some shows where Dawson hammed it up for the audience by dipping me dramatically or twirling me before planting one on me. We never rehearsed it or even discussed it in advance. I was as surprised as they were from show to show. But when our lips touched, one thing was certain. Everything else in the theater disappeared. The 800 audience members, the set pieces and props, our fellow cast members, and even the hot stage lights. For that short moment, Dawson was mine, and mine alone. It no longer mattered he looked down on me as an amateur who didn't deserve to be in a Broadway production. I didn't care anymore that he was a classically trained actor from Carnegie Mellon and Juilliard while I was practically self-taught. As soon as someone said the next line, "Okay, she's gone," we all went back to sitting around the table in the center of the stage for the rest of the scene. Life went on for approximately 24 hours, and then he kissed me again. I never knew what to expect. Which Dawson would I see out there under the lights? We barely spoke off stage. After the first week of rehearsals, I'd overheard him complaining about untrained morons coming off the street and landing roles with sheer luck when perfectly good, trained actors were being overlooked. I knew he'd been talking about me. I'd kept my mouth shut until the following week when I'd made a snide comment about entitled know-it-alls who think just because they have a fancy piece of paper, or two, they're somehow better than everyone else. I'd tried precisely once to ask him about his changeable kisses, to make sure I was playing it appropriately, and he'd said, "It's improvisation, Gem." Like maybe I'd never heard of the technique before. Just go with it. After that, we'd seemed to enter a silent war. It had been going on for 11 long months. We did what we needed to do to keep our mutual antagonism away from cast and crew dynamics. But we certainly never went out of our way to be friendly, other than participating in group activities where it would seem awkward if we weren't nice to each other. It was different once the curtain opened. I loved my role in the show. Not My Alfred was a fast-paced comedy of errors about a 1930s mob boss who's trying to keep his life of crime hidden from his perfect, God-fearing wife. Dawson and I were both cast in supporting roles as members of the crime family. Dawson became Lucky Loretto, whose closest compatriot in Alfred's organization was Trigger DeCaro, the role I played. During the show, we laughed. We strategized. We slammed doors and shoved each other into hiding spots. We kissed. Seeing him dressed in his pinstriped suit with spats confused me for a split second every night. For that quick moment, he looked hot as fuck. Tall, with a strong jaw and head of thick, dark hair. He was commanding, sexy, competent, and delicious. Someone I could want. But as soon as the final curtain came down after the show, it was like none of that had happened. And maybe it hadn't. Maybe that was how theater life was. Lucky and Trigger were bros. Dawson and Gem definitely weren't. "Gem, you coming out tonight?" Coda bounced his eyebrows at me in the dressing room mirror. "The Retro has buy one get one cocktails midnight to 2 for cast and crew." I nodded and glanced over at Dawson, who was standing across the small room in just his costume trousers and white tank undershirt. The sweat shone on his skin, and the way his suspenders hung down outlined the rounded globes of his ass in those pants. "Yeah?" Coda asked. I blinked and looked back at the mirror. "Sorry. Yeah, I'll go with. Thanks."